everyone. Welcome to Lagfest After Hours, the Lagfest Incorporated talk show, episode number 1 for Thursday, August 6th, 2020. August 8th, sorry, unless this happens to go out the following week on August 13th. My name is John, also known as Aramere, and with me today is my co-host, fellow creator, and very good friend, Shroomgoblin, aka Don Pablo. How you doing?
How's it going, everybody? Happy to be here.
And
you said his name.
And joining us today is our very special guest, co-founder of the original Lagfest, and the reason all this is still around, except for me, really, Zilonkaj, also known as Joe, and that's my phone going off. How you doing, Joe?
Hello. Hello.
So here we are. This has been 6-7 years in the making. Just about, right? We started this in 2013, August 2013.
I joined Lagfest in 2014, and you guys started it 1 year prior to me joining.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when we were gonna do the history lesson part of this. That's probably why I'm here, is the history lesson, because started with me. But
there's also a lot of different versions of it, so we'll get cleared up.
Yeah,
on the show what happened, where, and how.
I'll have to think through the start dates. It's a long time ago, back when the dinosaurs walked on the Earth. I'm like having a midlife crisis, and I'm only like 22. It's a real problem.
Yeah,
we started at the bottom, and we're still at the bottom.
Yeah, but we're working our way up.
Slowly, surely.
If I told you guys like 5 or 6 years ago that this would be happening, you guys would have laughed at me.
I would have laughed at you regardless.
That's true, you would have.
I don't know. I always like podcasts. I listen to them myself. So
Well,
I think recording one is not a bad idea.
Yeah, honestly, like 5 or 6 years ago is probably the first time I've ever even heard of a podcast, so there you have it. But yeah, so let's get into the subject.
Am I a special guest or like a regular? I guess we never decided that.
We never really talked about it. We can, it's still on the table. Discussion's still on the table.
Okay.
For today, you'll be our special guest here on the podcast.
All right.
I was telling
I was telling Shroomgoblin that if it transitions to an anime podcast, I can't be here. I'll be a special guest. But if it's a non-anime podcast, then I can be here. It's fine.
There might be some occasional anime stuff, but probably with people who understand
you may
a little more.
You may have to swap me. You may have to swap me out for those because I don't know anything about anime. So
that's fair. But yeah. So
have you seen Pokemon?
Yeah, like years ago.
Then you're fine.
Listen, Minecraft's my favorite anime. Okay.
Cory in the House is my favorite anime.
Cory in the House.
All right, so guys, let's get into the subject of today's live stream. So, because this is the first episode, and some people, even on our Discord and YouTube, aren't entirely sure what Lagfest Incorporated is about, or kind of really what it is, we put together a little Q&A from compiled of questions that we got on our Discord server. Sorry. So question number 1, and I did kind of write my own version of an answer for this just in case. What is Lagfest Incorporated?
So maybe you should go. Maybe you should go first because I'm not really sure about the incorporated part. I know our history of the Minecraft server, but you can do the incorporated part, I guess.
Yeah. So, okay. So, the answer that I wrote down for this, and I kind of spent some time kind of thinking about how to put it so that it made a lot of sense. Lagfest Incorporated got its name from a fictitious company on the original Lagfest server, which you, Joe, can probably tell our listeners a bit more about in terms of the history. We are a collective of gamers and friends who produce video gaming-related videos on YouTube and Twitch. In other words, we're a bunch of geeks who got together making video games and sharing our love of gaming. But yeah, so there is a little bit of a history for Lagfest Incorporated. from before the before Lagfest Incorporated became its own thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
so we had we had the Lagfest server, and then I one day decided, there's a company, we're doing a thing.
Yeah, so I guess I should kind of go through the history of it. So I think, was it me who came up with the name? I feel like it was me, but I could be mistaken.
I think it was you. I'm pretty sure you came up with Lagfest.
So the real life history of this is I'm a tech person. I work with computers pretty much all the time, and so I was the guy setting up the Minecraft servers that everybody was connecting to and playing to, including Aramere, Shroomgoblin, and a bunch of other people. And so back in, was it 2013? Wow,
Yeah,
so long.
yeah. I want to.
So long
I mean,
ago.
I think talks of it might have started in 2012, but I'm pretty sure it was August 2013. Yeah.
But I think even before that, I was setting up different Minecraft servers for other people. You remember the server with Ben? Do you remember that at all? It was a long time ago.
Well, I wasn't on that one, but I do remember discussion.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that one,
It was before. It was before you were even playing the game.
It was before my time. Yes.
Right. So I set up a server on an old HP computer that I had at my house, and that was our Minecraft server. It didn't have the name Lagfest. And that HP computer was really old, really slow. And so when people were playing on it, they would say, oh, this thing is so laggy. It's so terrible. Why is your server so terrible? And so I guess I just came up with the name Lagfest from that HP computer. And so we upgraded multiple times since then. But that was the original.
But the name kind of stuck through the ages, as it were.
Yeah. So it transitioned to me using my laptop to host it, and then we had a dedicated server for a while. The one I was hosting, the one I was paying for.
Those were the days.
Then I took that one off because I was moving on to college, and I just wasn't really interested in playing anymore. And then it transitioned to the Realm, right?
Yeah. So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the Realm kind of wrote. I want to say I started the Realm anywhere between 6 months to a year after the dedicated server shut down. I remember it was like I was still thinking about the server, and it was a few months after I had kind of created the
I have a prop
video on my.
I have a prop.
You have a prop.
This hard drive right here, all the backups.
Wow.
Oh boy.
That there is a national treasure. You hold on to that.
It's a property of Lagfest Incorporated, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, well,
Sell it to a museum and we'll be billionaires.
We'll figure that out. But yeah, I remember I was making the montage video for the end of Lagfest.
Oh, I should probably all the videos from that time frame are on my YouTube channel. This is not so much a plug as it is kind of like if you want to see stuff from then, just go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Zilonkaj. Probably link in the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't upload.
Link is going to be on the YouTube description of this podcast. Also, longtime viewers of both that series of videos and those who kind of moved on and later kind of joined on the Lagfest Incorporated YouTube channel, which also kind of was created later on. There is actually a playlist of those videos that I put on the Lagfest Inc. channel, but all the videos are on your channel though.
Yeah, I don't upload to that channel anymore. That was before Aramere had his own channel, so that was the videos before Aramere's channel. So I'm not like plugging the channel, like I said. It's just there if you're interested, but I don't upload to it anymore.
Yeah, the videos are up there. But yeah, I remember I was making the montage for that server shortly before it closed down, and I was thinking that I really kind of didn't like that it was closing down, even though a lot of us weren't going on very much anymore because we were all kind of busy with different stuff. You and I, it was like with prep for college, and a lot of people with their exams and their school and whatever there was. and I was thinking, I really want this to keep going, but I don't know if I can afford a server. And then I think it was like a few months later that my brother, who actually I think did feature in at least one or two of the old videos.
Yeah, he was in.
Years and years ago. He actually, around the time that Realms originally came out on Minecraft, for PC back then, before it was called Java Edition. Or it might have been around the time they started calling it Java Edition. And it was around that time that my brother actually kind of had a realm of his own to play with friends, and I kind of, as I learned a bit more about it, I found out that it was significantly less expensive to pay subscription for and have that running.
How much is a realm? I actually don't know.
It is, if I remember correctly, $7.99 a month.
$7.99 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, if I remember correctly, the dedicated server was something like 20 to 25.
No. How much is that a year? I have to do some
8 times 12. I don't have a calculator on me. I have a phone. What am I talking about?
$96? You're paying more. The dedicated server I had was more? 56. It was 56 a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
no, I think the realm is probably worth the extra money just because it's less hassle. But
it's
definitely more expensive.
It definitely is that, because really Mojang is just running all of the kind of important stuff that I don't need to deal with because I don't really understand any of it.
That being said, the company I'm with, I think they might have gotten hacked recently. So I'm not sure. They're probably still around, but I don't know if it's a good idea to use them. I'm not going to mention the name of it, but at the time they were good.
No, yeah,
but, it was.
I mean, at the time it did what we wanted it to do, and you also kind of had a decent enough knowledge of how to operate kind of behind the scenes to make it work. So
yeah, it was pretty easy, but it was like $56 a year. That was it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's possible that I'm paying a little bit more, but I think it's honestly kind of worth what
it's probably worth it, especially if you use it.
Yeah. But yeah, so kind of question 2, which we kind of went over briefly. When and how did you start, when you decided to start Lagfest Incorporated? So that's also kind of a 2-part question. We kind of answered most of it already, but Lagfest Incorporated was, at least in its current incarnation, was the product of me not really wanting to let go of getting together with friends on the Minecraft server and doing stuff. And it was, initially at least, kind of my way of keeping things together. But then slowly, kind of my personal vision of it, at least, changed in that I wanted to make it a little more similar to different gaming groups or companies that appear on YouTube. Just to name a few, there's like the Minecraft group Hermitcraft, who they're not like an actual company, but they're a whole bunch of YouTubers who focus on Minecraft, and they play together on this server and they put out videos for that. Another company, which is in fact a company, and they do a lot of various gaming videos, is the Yogscast, very well known. And I kind of had in my head that I wanted to eventually get it to be something a little more similar to that, where kind of by the nature of what it was, it kind of kept bringing us back to it, especially because kind of toward the end of the original server, we were spending less time there, and we were kind of more concerned with a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, if $56 a year is really not that much money, but considering that I was in high school when I didn't have a job, and most of us were not, at the time, not really playing on it anymore, I figured it just didn't make sense to keep paying for it, you know? At the time, that was the decision-making. But I understand, wanting to keep the community, just that was the reason for getting rid of the server.
Yeah, and as time went on, I kind of realized that I really wanted to keep the community aspect of Lagfest going, and that I actually enjoyed making the YouTube videos whenever I did it on my own. And you guys have been in a few of those from kind of my perspective. One or two of which I think you also recorded, Joe, on your end.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a while, yeah. But yeah, I kind of just decided to keep it going, at least for myself, if nothing else. And so that's kind of where Lagfest Incorporated kind of really transformed from an in-game thing to something that exists in the real world. But Lagfest, again, like you said, kind of goes back to 2012, 2013, when you, me, and another guy set up a server to play together, and slowly more people started coming on.
Yep.
Which was fun. Which kind of leads us on into our third question. Who are and were all the members of Lagfest historically, and how do you feel your content evolved over the years? So I guess that's
a good amount of people.
That's two separate questions, really. So I guess let's talk about the first one. So there's us three. Zilonkaj and I being two of the three, I think, right? We were like two of the three original members of the server.
Are you talking about Blumster?
I am talking about Blumster.
Okay, so there's him. There was Mikey.
I think he, along with us, kind of, we were the first three, and then Mikey jumped on for a little bit.
Mikey. Who else? I don't know. I'm having trouble remembering. I think that was really the core.
I think Zach might have been on for a little while.
That was the HP server. That was the original slow one before we moved off of that. Who else is there?
But yeah, later on we got Shroomgoblin and ilanxtreme a little bit after that. We had Hobasmad, who anywhere else now on Twitch, YouTube, whatever is now called PymanX12, so go check out his stuff. My brother was on a few times, like 2-3 times. We got one of Jordan's friends, one of Shroom's friends on at some point. But yeah, we kind of had a few people kind of drifting in and out, with us really being kind of the core few. So there was that.
How does the content evolved? I mean, in terms of myself, I kind of moved on from doing the YouTube videos. I was the one doing the Minecraft videos in the beginning, and I just don't really enjoy recording personally. So I stopped doing it, but Aramere kind of took over from there. So at least from my end, that's how the content evolved, as I stopped. But
yeah, kind of as it kept going, and we had more and more kind of recording sessions where I joined you as you were recording videos, I kind of realized that I liked doing it more and more, and I slowly kind of figured out how to do it myself. And so kind of for me, it kind of became kind of a cross between a hobby and a passion project to kind of keep it going. Because I mean, I personally enjoy doing all that stuff, so especially now, it's kind of a big part of my life and really what I want to keep doing.
I think I would enjoy live streaming, but the recording videos is very difficult, especially if you're by yourself and you have to talk to yourself all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say for me, that's also one of the big things that evolved as I made more and more videos. It's that I kind of went from someone who really had no idea how to talk to themselves as if they're talking to an audience, to really kind of, with practice, getting the feel of it. And so for me, I mean, if you look at my first video, like my first ever Minecraft video, as opposed to the videos that I put out now, it's a whole world of difference. Of course, we're also talking about a 6-7 year gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, streaming. Streaming is definitely something that, like, I know a few YouTubers. I mentioned like the Yogscast before. There are a few of them who, like, all their videos now are just cut up bits of their live streams because they really only just stream nowadays.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, definitely live streaming is, like, it works. I personally enjoy it when I do it.
Yeah, a Scribble.io stream was fun. I was there.
Scribble.io stream was fun until it wasn't.
Yeah, no. But before that, it was fun.
Yeah.
I've been trying to set up my live streaming software as of the last couple of days to potentially start streaming soon.
Oh, well, that's great news. Get you going, host you every so often, see how that's going. So that's actually really good news.
You gotta build that system, sir. Gotta build that new computer.
Work in progress.
Yeah, you're working on that, aren't you? You're working on that computer.
I'm either gonna build my own computer or I'm potentially getting a decent computer to work off of.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yes. So I am just waiting for a confirmation from a source.
Yeah.
To tell me whether I'm gonna build or receive a computer.
Build it. Build your own.
The guy's got sources.
Build it.
Build it. Give it. Alright, so our next question is, and I mean, Zilonkaj, for you, this might be a harder one to answer since it's been so long. What is your favorite video you've ever made with the group? This can either be the most fun you've had making a video or the most proud you have been of the final product.
Well, there's a video that's not necessarily Lagfest related. It was me and Blumster. I guess it was the whole series. We played a custom map, a custom Minecraft map. It was really funny to record. Like, it's actually really enjoyable. So I forget the name of the custom map series, but I don't think there's that many of them on the channel. So you can just go look at that if you want some laughs.
Gotta do some deep diving in your YouTube channel.
As far as the server goes, it has been a long time, so I don't remember off the top of my head. I mean, there's the unintentional drunk Minecraft recording. I guess.
I was gonna bring that up because I think all three of us collectively greatly enjoyed that.
You see, the thing with that is I didn't even plan that. It's just like Spotify decided to drop that on me, and it just happened.
There's Mexican music on my computer. I don't know where it's coming from.
At some point, we should probably tell the story of that, but because it's not really obvious in the video, I think. I haven't watched it in a while. But.
Yeah, no, I don't think that it's. I don't think it's something that we ever kind of really talked about in that video, like what that whole thing was. I actually recently released that video on YouTube.
I saw that, yeah.
It's unlisted.
I noticed that.
The only access that anyone other than us has to it is through the Lagfest Incorporated Discord, if you are a Lagfest Inc. VIP. Which kind of more on that at some point, because that's something that I would like to keep kind of fine-tuning as to like what that means and how you get there and what it offers. But yeah, if
you want, I can tell the story of it real quick.
Please, by all means. I just remember that it was incredibly funny to do, and it's funny every time I watched it.
So you should probably watch the video before you listen to this. Pause the video, go watch it.
Yeah, but pause the live stream right now. Go find the video, watch it, then
come live stream.
Not a live stream
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Live. Okay. Well, anyway. All right. Hello. You've come back, hopefully, from watching the video. So the story behind that is. Right now I pay for Spotify to listen to music, but at the time I wasn't paying for Spotify. So the free tier of Spotify it puts ads in between songs every so often. And so you'll be listening to a song will end, ad will immediately start playing, and then it'll go back to your music. So in the middle of that recording, I was listening to music on Spotify, and the song stopped, and it immediately started playing an ad with Mexican music in it. And so that's why I had the reaction I did, is because the song I was listening to just abruptly stopped and the Mexican music started. And I was like, what is this music coming out of my computer? And it just, I don't know why it was so funny, but it was. It just kind of happened.
And that
Another thing about that video recording was we were planning to record a video, but we hadn't started recording it. So I decided to turn on my recording software and just started a recording and mentioned, hey, I'm recording. And then we were just playing Minecraft while we were waiting to start an actual recording.
Yeah, it was a solid 20 to 25 minutes of us doing stuff, and then you just decided to start recording, and every so often Zilonkaj would pop up like, are you planning to record? Is this a thing that's happening? Is it? But yeah, but I always get a kick out of that video when I watch it.
I don't even know why you guys thought it was so funny. Like, I didn't want it to be funny. It wasn't like planned.
Look, I cannot for the life of me figure that out. It's just a thing.
Especially Shroomgoblin. You just were dying after that. I don't even know why.
I don't remember.
Between him and me, and later on ilanxtreme when he watched the video, it's. I think what's so funny about it is just how stupid it all was. It was all total nonsense, like 100% nonsense, and you trying to figure out if we were actually going to be recording.
Maybe. I know. Wasn't I talking about some like block or something in that video too?
A cube.
Yeah, I have no idea what I was talking about. No clue. I watched the video back and I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
To quote Zilonkaj, to quote him, "Oh my God, there's a cube."
I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you what I was talking about. I have no idea.
Honestly, between the number of times that Shroomgoblin and I have watched that video since then, I think we've got some of the best bits covered. But,
I have no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, that was a crazy, crazy fun video. Alright, what is your favorite game to play on stream, for a video, and privately? I feel like we can all answer this one. Come on, guys.
Minecraft.
Valid. That's a good one. I mean, this whole thing is based on Minecraft, isn't it? So...
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the video or streaming part of that because I don't really do that anymore. But in private, I'm more of an FPS person. I like Minecraft, don't get me wrong, but I like FPS games as well. Is there a question about what games have we recently been playing? Is that later, or?
Let's add that onto this because I think that's a good part. I think that's a good thing to discuss here.
I wasn't sure if that was later or not, but like I can give you an idea of what I've been playing recently, and you guys have seen that on the Discord. I've been playing games like Serious Sam, BioShock. Me and Shroomgoblin are playing Borderlands 2 as well. They're all FPS games.
Why is he so serious? What is there to be serious about? I mean, come on.
I don't know why it's called Serious Sam, because he's not serious at all. But
for the listeners, in case you're wondering, that's the vast majority of what goes on when we're not being totally serious about something. But yeah.
Yeah, you sent me Discord messages saying, why is he so serious?
Why is he so serious?
Yep.
But yeah, you've been playing that, you've been playing BioShock. Games that I personally have not played.
They're really good.
Probably should. I've heard a lot of great things about them.
Really good. I was telling Shroomgoblin about this. It was on sale for $5. It was a steal. You guys should have gotten it.
Yeah, I should have, looking back.
$5.
$5.
Unbelievable. I think the game now is like 20. So
I missed my chance at it. For that steal of a price.
but you should play it. It's good game.
Yeah.
All three of them. There's 3 of them.
That's true, isn't it? There's BioShock Infinite. There's what's the third one? That other one.
BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite.
Oh yeah, there we go. I only actually heard of BioShock around the time Infinite came out, and some YouTubers that I was watching at the time were playing.
I think that most people heard about it. I think that's when I heard about it also.
That's around the time a few of the YouTubers that I watched were saying how they played the original or the other ones and loved it, and that's kind of how I got introduced to it as a game and as a series.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But talk about your favorite games now. I shouldn't be hogging this whole thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I play Minecraft, and those who watch the Lagfest Incorporated YouTube channel should be well aware of that. I outside of Minecraft, I mostly like playing MMORPGs, so kind of the online role-playing games. I mean, most people at best play 1 or 2. I probably play 4 or 5 different MMORPGs, which is a heck of a lot of role-playing to balance. And most of the time, it's not even role-play. It's just me trying to make sure that I have decent-looking armor or whatever. But yeah, there's a bunch that I like. There's World of Warcraft, which is having its new expansion come out fall of this year. There's Star Wars: The Old Republic, which gets periodic updates. There's Star Trek Online, also gets periodic updates, but it's probably not as well known as the last 2. There's the Elder Scrolls Online, which I've been kind of getting back into recently. In fact, that's the game that I've played on my last 2 live streams, and had a great time doing it. But yeah, I'm kind of more in that world of kind of delving into a world and becoming part of it. So that's kind of more my niche. But yeah, that's kind of the vast majority of what I play. And then there's Minecraft, which takes up the other time.
Yeah.
Which, kind of lets me unleash my creativity. I mean, that's kind of the majority of what I do on Minecraft is building. Like, even in survival, if I have to, fight mobs and go digging for minerals and, just make sure that I can survive the night and get all the right tools and find diamonds and all that, I'm next to useless. But, I mean, I like to think I've been getting better at it, but yeah.
Should I say my games now?
Please,
yes.
By all means.
So, as everyone, Minecraft is a big game for me. I love it. I've been playing it for years. I'm currently playing it while we're recording this. Definitely not on the Lagfest server. So don't even think about asking me that. Some other games that I've been playing a lot and that I really enjoy so far. Borderlands 2, which I've been playing with Zilonkaj over here.
Yep,
I think we've both been really enjoying it so far. I'm a big fan of Team Fortress 2. That's an old classic.
And it's an oldie but a goodie.
I've always loved the game. It's just like the dynamics in the game are just really good in my opinion.
Yeah.
I play Smite here and there because I don't know, I like that type of gameplay. I play Tabletop Simulator because I really enjoy playing board games, and my family does not. I must play with my online friends.
I'm thinking of getting that because one of the people that I kind of talk with a lot on Discord was mentioning how he does Dungeons and Dragons on it. He uses that as his platform. whereas the group that I'm in uses Roll20. So I'm definitely thinking of getting Tabletop Simulator, at least so that I can play D&D with him and maybe a few other people. But yeah,
It's only $10, I believe, but it's worth it completely, and I love it. You could play board games, card games, role-playing games.
yeah. I found it on Steam for $20. I also found it on G2A for $12.32.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess depending on where you find it, the price may vary.
This is not an advertisement for Tabletop Simulator. It's just a pretty good game.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that is it for me.
Hey, I mean that's pretty good. That's all pretty good. What systems or consoles do you play on, PC included?
PC.
PC and Switch.
Mainly PC. That's where I do the vast majority of my gaming. But I do have my old Wii in my room, and I also have formerly my brother's Xbox One, and so some of the games that I play are on there, but I don't really play those consoles as often as I play the PC. That's kind of my main platform.
Yeah, I also have the classic Wii system. I just don't use it anymore. I'm mainly PC, but then I play Switch games every couple weeks.
Nintendo's good for giving you something to do when you're bored and don't know what else to do.
Very true.
What is one pet peeve you have and one thing that you like?
I know what my pet peeve is.
I mean, I think Zilonkaj's pet peeve is us expecting him to remember some video from 5 or 6 years ago.
No, I know what his pet peeve is.
What?
When people ask him tech support questions that have very simple answers that they should already know.
It depends on the person. If I've already answered the question for you like 3 times already and you ask me a 4th time, yeah. If I've never helped you with that particular issue before, then fine. But I wouldn't consider that my pet peeve. I'd have to think about that. I think my pet peeve is being asked questions like that on the spot and then having to think about the answer to that question. Like, what's your pet peeve? I don't know. What's your favorite color?
Right
I don't know. I don't know what my favorite color is.
What is your favorite color?
Nice.
There you go. Pet peeve found.
I don't know. For me, it's got to be. I don't know. That's kind of a tough question for me to answer to because there's any number of things that just really annoy me.
Toilet paper on backwards.
Oh my god! Don't even get me started. Toilet paper on backwards. Toilet paper that's single ply. Now my brother doesn't ever put the roll back on the little where it belongs and just leaves it on the counter by the sink.
So backwards is the right way, right?
You little.
Focus camera. I used to not care. Like, I actually used to not care, and then I realized that backwards was really dumb, and now I care about it. But I used to not, like, it's like, I don't know, it's like, why waste your mental energy on something seemingly so dumb?
Yeah, but it's wrong, so...
I'm pretty sure I'm missing some context, but it's okay, because I agree with it either way.
So...
What context are you missing?
The toilet paper backwards thing, and like how it's like a big deal to them.
Well, it's. Maybe he's one that doesn't care.
How it's objectively wrong regardless of the context and scenario?
No, that's not. That's not the context I'm missing. I agree with you. Toilet paper backwards is wrong, but I'm not. I don't have the context to why it's so much of a deal to you that you got so angry as soon as he said it.
I think the crux of it. I think the crux of it is that there's people like I used to be, where you just put the roll on and you don't care which direction it goes, right?
Yeah.
And so then you go to the toilet after. We're getting into potty talk. Going to the toilet after someone's already put the roll and it's backwards, so you're like, oh god, I have to unroll this thing. You know, it takes so much effort. Whereas if you put it the other way, it doesn't take as much effort. I think that's the issue.
I mean, for me, it kind of started with walking into the bathroom every so often and finding that the roll is facing the wall as opposed to away from the wall, and then
it's always somebody else. You know, I was thinking one of my.
I would only ever find out when I needed to use the toilet paper, and then the first time that I would reach for it, I wouldn't get any because I'm like barely looking at it and it's not where it's supposed to be.
See, one of my actual pet peeves is stupid people, and I think the toilet paper thing is the cause of stupid people.
Should I say what my pet peeve is?
It's all stupid. I think that's everyone's pet peeve, though. Stupid people.
Yeah,
even if they themselves are stupid. But yeah.
Go ahead.
My pet peeve, which many people will probably not care, when you're describing hot wings, when you put a hot sauce on wings, it is not spicy, it is hot. When you get Indian food, it is spicy, not hot. Everyone mixes them up and it drives me crazy. And my family disagrees with me, and
yeah, I don't understand.
Like I kind of get what you're saying. I kind of get what you're saying, but at the same time, for me, it's kind of like, is water wet?
Those are the "I'm going to stab you in your sleep" eyes that you just gave to the camera.
Do I need to explain why I say
yes, this? Yes, you do.
I mean, not for me, because I kind of understand the context of why certain words are used for certain things as opposed to others. But, like, again, for me,
I understand why they do it.
Like, for me, it's just one of those things. It's like, is water wet? Like, someone will say, no, your hand is wet if it touches water, but water itself cannot be wet. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that doesn't have a clear answer.
So, the reason I say this is when you make, like, I'm using Indian food as an example because it's an easy example. When you make Indian food, you actually put spices into the food, thus making it a spicy dish.
That's fair, yeah.
When you're making hot wings or buffalo wings, you're putting a hot sauce on it, not a spice sauce. So it is hot, not spicy.
I mean, that's fair. At the same time, one might argue that hot pepper is a type of spice. Like, I mean, if you look at what a spice is, one might argue that if you take a hot pepper and bring it to a point where it can flavor something, it's a spice. But I do get what you're saying. I think at a place where I kind of agree with you. It's got to be said, I kind of agree with you on that. And for our last question tonight, one that a great many people are very interested in, why I cannot tell. As a rough estimate, how much would you say your gaming setup has cost you?
Mine's probably going to be the longest answer, so you guys should go first.
It's a one-word answer. It's how much is it worth?
Because today I just changed my gaming setup, as you know.
Ooh.
So it's going to be a long answer.
Fresh out the box. I I mean, for me, I kind of have to say between the computer, which I got at I got the computer and the monitor at a pretty great deal. Probably all in all, less than $1,000, and I have a really great computer. I can't rattle off all the specs for you off my head, but when I was going over it with ilanxtreme, who's a tech person and knows a lot more about it than I do, he went on about how it's actually a really good computer for what I use it for, which is mainly gaming. But under 1,000, but I want to say coming close to it, and that's because I kind of got the monitor and the computer for a pretty good deal. The second monitor that I have is actually I kind of got from my grandmother. Shipped it down to me because it's like an old. It's a small old television screen that she isn't using anymore, and I kind of needed a second screen to help me keep track of all my stuff. So, not very much for me, at least.
I guess I'll go next. At the moment, this is before spending money on buying new parts and stuff, because I do plan on doing that in the next couple months. I would say my price is around maybe $1,500-$1,600, just because I use a laptop to play, and the laptop itself was about $1,200, I think. And then I have peripherals. I have 2 external screens that I paid $100 for each for. So just considering everything for my setup, I would say maybe $1,500-$1,600.
I mean, let's not disregard the long string of very bright adjustable LED lights that you have going around the outline of your ceiling, which some people might argue is not part of the gaming setup. I would tend to disagree.
Oh my god, that camera.
You're gonna
camera is not adjusting well to that.
You're gonna give people watching this on YouTube epilepsy. Or an epileptic fit.
Yes, I do have lights that string around the top of my room, but I wouldn't necessarily consider that part of the gaming setup. I would just consider that part of my lifestyle.
The RGB is part of my lifestyle.
The RGB is my life. So here's a bit of a question, and this is actually kind of one that I just kind of came up with as I was thinking about this. Would you consider your other consoles a part of your overall gaming setup? Or is each of those a different gaming setup?
Each of them is different unless you connect the Xbox and or PS4 or any other console to the same screen you are gaming on.
Yeah, so let me tell you why I asked that. For me, I have the 2 monitors in my room. One which I'm kind of staring at talking to you guys, and this one slightly off to my left where I kind of have all the rest of my stuff. But that secondary screen is also connected to the Xbox One and the Wii. So, I mean, for me, they're kind of all together. But even then, I kind of have to say that my answer for how much it cost me is probably the same, even including that stuff, because the Xbox I didn't purchase, my brother purchased it. The Wii I got as a bar mitzvah gift. Even the speakers that I'm using, and they're great speakers, like super high quality audio. They're speakers that my dad had lying around. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this stuff is odds and ends that I picked up. But all in all, like, I would say that they're a part of my gaming setup just because they're connected to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
I guess I should talk about mine. So, I built my own computer, and I've been changing the parts in it. In particular this summer. I built it in 2014, and the parts had pretty much stayed the same. until like a couple months ago.
Although you've been slowly switching out components over the years, haven't you? Though
Very barely. I didn't use this computer much because I would go up to college and I didn't want to bring it with me, so I just left it here. So, but now with the virus, I'm using this computer a lot more, and so I've started putting money into it. And so I upgraded everything. If you want spec list, contact me. I have all the specs. Can tell you. Today I just bought a new graphics card and a new power supply.
Congrats.
That was $480 for the combo, and then the motherboard and new CPU were like $600, I want to say. Yeah, I mean, I buy kind of higher end stuff, even if I'm not necessarily gaming. I like to have higher end stuff. Just have a higher end machine. I'm looking at it right now. It's on the floor. That's why I'm doing this.
I mean, gaming or not, it certainly can't hurt. Of course, from like a specs perspective and how much each individual piece would cost you. I mean, for me, it kind of goes right over my head because I'm not the kind of person who normally pays a huge amount of attention to it. Like I said, I kind of rely on other people like ilanxtreme and you sometimes to kind of help me understand what each of those little things on the spec list means. But
I would say my current setup is probably a little over 1,000. The old setup was also over 1,000, but I've been switching the parts out, so I guess it's. Have you guys ever heard of the ship of Theseus?
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
Okay, my computer's kind of like a ship of Theseus. Question. For those of you who don't know, I actually had to Google it because I didn't remember the name of it, but it's a thought experiment that's like, okay, you have a ship, and the ship crashes, right, and most of the ship is destroyed.
And slowly over time, you need to replace all the parts until.
Or if you're on an island or whatever, you chop down some trees and you put new wood on the ship. Is it the same ship, even though it has different wood or different materials?
I am familiar with this.
It's that scenario where slowly every piece of the ship gets changed with a different piece, and slowly is it the same ship? Yeah.
For my computer, the only parts that are remaining from the original are the case, the CD drive, and one of the hard drives. Everything else has been changed. So, is it the same computer? That's the question. I don't know if it is.
I mean,
it could be. I mean, but
Windows doesn't think so.
But well, look. If Windows doesn't think so, look. All I'm saying is, you could get a heart replacement and lung replacements, and you can get various organ transplants. Are you the same person? You know what I mean?
I guess.
So by that, that's one of those more philosophical questions. But I mean, I'd say so long as there's at least one component left, there is, some reason.
I definitely think for a computer, the case is definitely that one component where it's like, yeah, this is the original, because it's in the same case,
right?
So it looks the same, even though it might not actually be the same. It kind of looks like the old one,
right? I mean, you could have an old 1960 Mustang, but then have a motor from a more modern, higher horsepower car under the hood, and I mean, the car is the same car, but at its heart, it's a different machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to put it into analog terms that I can get better. But
yeah. So, anyways, my ship costs 1,000-ish plus, I guess.
I mean, between all the switching out and stuff, probably closer to 2,000. No, overall by the end of it.
Well, if you combine the two, that's the thing. Is it the same computer? That's the question. If it's the same computer, then yeah, it's been $2,000. But if it's not the same, computer,
so let's go with the assumption that it's the same, given that there are a few of the same components.
Okay. So then, yeah, I guess it would be $2,000, but it's a constantly upgrading cost, it's an upgrading machine, and the cost is for the upgrades.
We are the Borg. Resistance is futile.
Sure. Yeah, it's just So I guess it's over $2,000, but it's not a $2,000 computer. It's an upgrade machine. Yeah, let's go with that.
All right. So that's it for our questions. That's it for the questions we got on our Discord. And now on to the second segment of our podcast of this episode. What's new in gaming? So today we have come up with 2 games that we kind of want to cover. It's going to be just kind of a brief rundown of the different features of these games. Not too much in-depth stuff, but just a few features we thought people would find interesting. So the first game is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, produced by Ubisoft and slated for release on November 17th, 2020. So Valhalla takes place in 9th century England, which at the time isn't really England yet. It's really comprised of a whole bunch of smaller kingdoms. And it takes place during the Viking incursions or the invasions of England. You play as Eivor, a Norse chieftain, which in this game, just like in Odyssey, you can decide whether you are male or female. And it takes you through the saga of sort of the Norse raids. And so kind of a few features that are going to be in there is, first of all, really the main idea behind the Norse raids was that they needed places to settle, because Norway, although captivatingly beautiful, is a very harsh place and barren. So when they get to England, they find all this beautiful land, and, well, what do you know? It's a great place to settle, so they start to fight for it. So one of the things that you're going to be able to do there is you're going to be able to set up a settlement, and as you play through the game, as you uncover more stuff, explore the world, gather resources, go on raids, you'll be able to upgrade your settlement, which in turn gets you better materials, better vendors, tools, cosmetics, weapons, etc. Now the raids are usually organized in such a way that you as the player are doing it with a company of non-player characters that follow you into these scenarios. And so what ends up happening is that rather than like other Assassin's Creed games where you go solo into dangerous situations, you got a whole raid party kind of backing you up. And this kind of applies to the smaller raids as well as larger scale battle scenarios. For example, there are bits where you're raiding fortified Saxon castles, which, in my opinion, is very cool. So you're going to be fighting foot soldiers, you're going to be setting huts on fire, you're going to be scaling walls and knocking down gates. So a lot of really cool and really interesting looking stuff. Also, unlike a lot of previous Assassin's Creed game, there is no health regen on its own. Regaining your health is going to have to be done by gathering food and supplies as you go through the world to survive. And so the game is kind of, because of that, very heavily based on this idea of exploring the world, and as you go through that, you'll encounter all these different kind of little bits of English history and the mythologies of the various peoples that live there, which, gets you all sorts of cool stuff. In your settlement, you have what's called the Alliance map, and what that helps you do is it serves as a mission table and a control center. And so from there you can keep track of all of your allies in the different kingdoms of England of the period, as well as what opportunities there are to raid and pillage and explore. There is a huge increase as well in the different enemies that you're going to be facing. So you have the different Saxons, but you also have other Norse people, or you have the Welsh or the Britons. And all these different factions, even though in themselves they have the same unit types that we're used to seeing, like the heavy, the archer, the footman, etc., each of them has different tactics and different ways that they may choose to fight. So in other words, it's not just a case of blocking, rolling, and dodging, and then throwing in a few attacks. There's a lot of dealing with suddenly maybe 2 or 3 of those units decide to work together to execute an attack of some sort, and you got to deal with that. So it's kind of just a little change to how combat works in that sense. And then kind of lastly, the feature that I want to talk about is getting around, because if you've played Assassin's Creed, then you know that one of the big features of Assassin's Creed is you get a horse, or in Origins a camel, or some sort of mount that you can ride around and get around faster. The horse has gotten a few upgrades. It is more responsive, it is less clunky and clumsy to get around on. It has its own sprint bar now, so it's not just a constant gallop to wherever you're going, you actually need to monitor the horse's stamina. And because England has a lot of rivers and streams and everything, they've given the horse the ability to swim through them with you riding on its back, so it won't actually throw you off or cause you as many issues. And so that's kind of a brief summary of what you're going to be able to expect from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And the second game that we're going to be talking about, and this is one that you see a lot of on Lagfest Incorporated, is Minecraft, and we're talking about the 1.16 Nether update.
Who like Minecraft?
And so there's not a huge amount in terms of different functions and different features to cover. A lot of it is based around blocks and items. There are some changes made in the Nether as to the introduction of new mobs and changing the behavior of some others. But let's get into it. So it's added a whole slew of blocks and items. Whether you're looking at the new blackstone and basalt blocks, or you're going for some of the new fungus, whether it's the warped wart or the new nether trees. There are a whole bunch of new biomes added, including the Basalt Delta, which is this very jagged, rough terrain of basalt, blackstone, and lava. You'll see as you go into this biome the red tinge that the nether has that you're familiar with in the fog turns to gray, and there's like ash particles floating through the air, which is kind of a nice touch in my opinion.
Were we live streaming when we went through the nether that one time? Was that live streamed?
I don't think that was live stream. I think that
wasn't?
That was it might have been live stream. Yes, I think it was actually.
If it was, there's a VOD of us exploring the different parts of the update, so you can watch that if you're interested.
Yes. And so there's the Basalt Delta, there's the Crimson Forest, which adds the Nilium block, which kind of like Mycelium in the overworld, is grass for really the nether fungus. So there you get all these little kind of grasses and shrubs like you would in the overworld, as well as the new wart trees, which kind of grow tall. Rather than leaves, they have the wart and warped wart. Try saying that 50 times fast. The blocks. And unlike trees in the overworld, you actually need to manually harvest the wart blocks because they do not despawn when you remove the trunk. Along with those, we have the introduction of shroom lights, which are a new light. Yeah, how about that? A new light source that grows organically on these trees as you grow them. So,
how'd you convince them to name a block after you?
I mean, like, I'm just that prolific. I'm just like, on that level, they just like, hey, we're gonna name a block after you. And I'm gonna be like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. And so there's the Crimson Forest, and at least on the Lagfest Incorporated realm, we have a Crimson Forest that cuts right through a nether fortress. So, in addition, you'll see a lot of changes in general terrain as well. In addition to the Crimson Forest, you also get the Warped Forest. So, rather than the regular nether wart blocks growing on the trees and the red nilium that you'll see everywhere, you're basically getting the same thing, but in cyan and blue. So whatever particle effect you're getting in the air, whatever the fog, all the colors of the blocks, including the wooden trunks, which you can turn into planks, by the way, rather than being red and purple, is all in the blues and greens. And so that's another one of the... That's, in my opinion, kind of one of the cool little changes added to that, where you have two biomes where they're essentially the same, except for that little difference. And oddly enough, some of the mobs that we're going to get into respond differently to those biomes, just in their behavioral patterns, which I find interesting. Another biome that we have is the Soul Sand Valley, which looks a lot like the Nether that we know from previous versions, with the slight difference that it is made up almost exclusively of Soul Sand and the new block Soul Soil. You'll often find that it is close to lava level, even though there are little bits of them attached to other biomes, like the Nether Wastes, which is what we're now calling what was known as the Nether. And you'll see that the fire that is lit in this biome, because it's lit on Soul Sand or Soul Soil, actually takes on a blue color, rather than the standard reddish gold that you see anywhere else. And so in addition to all those biomes, we also get a new structure added into the game in the form of the Bastion. Now, the Bastion is kind of like the Nether Fortress 2.0, and really what it does is introduces a slightly different type of experience to the Nether Fortress, which we're all familiar with as kind of being in a grid. This one has slightly more organic shapes. It is falling apart from the inside out in some cases. And these are patrolled by the piglins, who are basically the replacement to the zombie pigmen. And in them you'll find various treasures, including gold items and a lot of the new items and blocks from the 1.16 updates. Now, moving on to mobs. So we have the piglins, who I just mentioned, as well as the zombified piglins, formerly known as the zombie pigmen. And the zombie pigmen act the same as they have. Very little change there, other than a model update to reflect the piglins that were added in. The piglins will respond with hostility to you unless you are wearing a piece of golden armor. You are also able to barter with the piglins by dropping or handing them gold ingots, and they will in return give you various items that they have. And many people have already set to turning that into a farm where they can just get all of that stuff very quickly. In addition to them, there are the hoglins, which look like giant boars. They are always hostile, and they hit like a truck. I speak from experience. Very frustrating to deal with, but they are very good at dropping leather. So, members of Lagfest Inc. realm, there is leather in the Nether.
Yes.
In addition, there are striders, who are these little reddish creatures that actually walk on lava. You can put saddles on them and ride them, but unlike horses, you actually need essentially the same golden carrot system that you use for the pigs on the fishing rod. So it's a little less sophisticated in terms of its control, but you are able to make it work. Let's see. In addition to all that, in 1.16.2, which is the next upcoming minor patch, Mojang is actually also releasing the Piglin Brutes. Now, the main difference between them and regular Piglins is I believe they are slightly larger in stature, and they are also not fooled by golden armor. They patrol bastions, so even if you go in with golden armor and you're able to get past regular Piglins, if you encounter one of them, you're in as much trouble as if you're not wearing any golden armor. Also, the Piglins respond negatively to the opening of chests and the looting of gold and golden blocks. So yeah, be careful of that. But that's it for our current updates on what is new in gaming. So now we're going to move on to our third and final segment for this episode. What's new on Lagfest Inc?
Are you doing a break in between, or we're going right into it?
I think we're going to go right into it because this segment took us close to no time, and I think we can keep going, right? Also, I feel like this is a good opportunity to get you guys to talk a little bit.
No, I'm good.
So, this segment is really based around casual conversations as we would have them if the camera weren't on. But a lot of it is going to be surrounding kind of what's going on, what we're thinking about within the group, what we're thinking of doing, what recently happened, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I could start us off if you guys want, or if you guys want to talk about some of what you guys have been doing, either on the server or off of it or whatever.
You can go first. I have no comments right now.
All right.
Well, let's break it up because he's been talking for the past 10 minutes. Shroom and I have been playing Borderlands 2. That's pretty much it as far as I've been doing. I don't know if you've been doing anything else.
How's that been going? The Borderlands.
When my computer decides to work, it's good. But hopefully that'll be fixed.
This being the same computer that's been receiving updates over time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that I bought the parts. So let's put it that way. So whenever those parts get installed, hopefully our experience will be a little bit better. Right now, I'm not able to play in full screen because the computer is just like, no, you can't play in full screen. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about Borderlands, because I personally am not actually familiar with. I mean, I've heard of the games, but I really don't know kind of what it is, what it's about, where it's set. It's a RPG FPS. You have a character, you upgrade skills on it, but it's also a first-person shooter. It's also cooperative, so the campaign, the story, you don't have to play it by yourself. You can play it cooperatively, which is different from most FPS games where the story is single-player only. This game and Borderlands in general is cooperative, which is really nice. It's different being able to play a story with friends as opposed to just by yourself, like with a game like BioShock, for example.
Right.
I think if Borderlands was a single-player campaign, I don't think it would be as fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about it while we were playing, and it would definitely be a lot more boring just doing it by yourself, because it can get repetitive.
Right. But yeah, so Red, you were
that's pretty much it. I don't think there's unless you have something, Shroom, I don't think there's anything else you would need to know about it.
I've really only been playing Borderlands 2 with Zilonkaj over here. I've been playing some clicker games, where you just click a lot, just to pass the time, watching a lot of YouTube. I mean, I don't really have that much going in my life at the moment. So.
Yeah. So I've actually been spending some time here and there recently on the realm. One of the things that I did was kind of try to put a little more time into kind of exploring the world and seeing kind of what else is out there. I've been trying to find a jungle, believe it or not, and having a lot of trouble because they are nowhere to be found. So,
got it.
yeah, just end up spending hours and hours just kind of in a boat exploring the shorelines and kind of trying to go inward onto land only to encounter mobs and frustration. But yeah, we recently, I want to say in the last 2-3 days, we actually got a new team member on Lagfest Incorporated. So on YouTube, he's known as Perfect Storm. He does reaction videos, in and among other things, to anime, different kind of meme videos, and a lot of them are actually really cool. And I really like his content. So I'm actually kind of really happy to have brought him on board. But I mean, yeah, other than that, kind of what's new on the realm is Shroom and I have set to work on dealing with spawn, so getting around and to the nether portal is easier. We may have removed a mountain or two. There may now be a floating nether portal.
These are true facts.
Yeah. But yeah.
There may or may not be a chicken war currently going on.
Oh Lord, the chicken war. The chicken wars are still going strong.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm at the point where there are now enough chickens in my little silo farm to generate plenty of ammunition. So
when I was playing Minecraft earlier in the podcast, I had contributed to and I attacked another member of Lagfest in the chicken war.
Oh boy.
So we will wait and find out to see when they find out about it.
I can only imagine the chaos that will ensue once they do. But yeah, that's pretty much all that we've got. So, gentlemen, thank you for getting together with me to do this.
Always a pleasure.
I want to thank all our listeners for tuning in, if you got this far. Be sure to check out the Lagfest Incorporated channel as well as the Discord. I stream on twitch.tv/Aramere3650. We have ilanxtreme, who streams on Twitch at ilanxtreme. He also has his own YouTube channel of the same name.
I am going to start streaming as well.
And yeah, and soon we're going to have Shroomgoblin streaming as well. So in between all that, there's a lot of content for you guys to see and cover. So thank you everyone for listening. For everyone on YouTube seeing this, thank you for watching. And we're going to see you guys next time.
All right.